Hello and welcome to another edition of the ROKER Report. I think we call it an extra podcast because I'm the extra presenter, but interviewer in the background technically as well. We've had loads of these really cool interviews recently, but I get to interview someone of my era again. It was Lorik Sana, I think, last week. This week we've got a man who knows what it's like to play for Sunderland after playing for us for 5 years. I think he doesn't need too much of an introduction. Mr. Kieran Richardson, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Just discussing before. I'm happy if we're winning.
So you said that you interviewed Lorik Sana last week?
Yes. The big man in Albania just now.
Yeah, he's in Albania. Great guy, man. Great guy. Great captain he was for us.
Brilliant bloke. Spoke with a lot of heart and a lot of passion. Very nice guy to interview, which brings me on to a nice early question, actually. Now, okay. I asked Lorik about the best players that he played with, and he gave a very diplomatic answer and went through the whole 11. But you were here a little bit longer than Lorik. What would be your all-time Sunderland 11 back to front?
Wow.
From your time, anyway.
Yeah, listen, I'll do it. In goal, I would have... It's a hard one because Craig Gordon was a great goalkeeper. You know, and he got injured, and Simon came in and did a great job. But I'll probably go Craig Gordon in goal still. Right back, I would have Phil Barsley at right back.
Yep.
Centre half, Tom Ferdinand. And next to him, I would have Johnny Mensah. Do you remember Mensah?
Love John Mensah. Yeah. If he wasn't injured all the time, man.
He had bad back problems, but he was such a top guy. He was a beast. He was so strong. Left back, I would probably have. It's hard on left back. I'm trying to think. We played left back when I was there. Sorry, do I have to put myself in the team or no?
Oh yeah, but I didn't want to say where. I was curious.
Okay, yeah, okay. I won't put myself left back. I'm trying to think who left back who could have been there. McCartney, and we had Danny Collins, right?
Danny Collins was the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put Danny Collins there. I just put Danny Collins because he was a good, solid player. Okay, on the right wing, I'm gonna put. Where did Steed play? Was Steed right wing or left wing? Because he was such a great player.
Steed could play anywhere.
Oh, listen, that guy was a dream for me, Steed. I'm gonna put Steed on the. I'm gonna put him on the. I don't know if on the left or right. Okay, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Jordan Henderson on the wing, on the right wing.
He was great on the right for us.
Yeah, he was. He was unbelievable. He played more on the right for us than...
He did.
I know he plays in the middle now. But I put Jordan on the right wing. I put Steed on the left wing, even though Steed's battling out with Reedy and a few other players, but Steed was just different class. Centre midfield... I think I'm going to have 5 in midfield.
You've got to have yourself as number 10.
Yeah, I'm going to put me in midfield in the middle of the park with...
Cats?
Cats was... It's hard because Dean Whitehead... Listen, when I was there, Dean Whitehead was a great partnership with me. You know, Cats was a great player as well. Even Dixon Atuhu, I know you guys don't even forget about him, but he was such a strong player as well. I'm going to... I'd put me and Dean Whitehead and Cats in the middle of the park. And up front... It's hard because you know what, I probably can't even have a bloody 5 midfield. Because I want to put Darren Bent and Kenwin up front.
Yeah, I mean, two, and you had Asamoah and you had Danny Welbeck.
That's what I mean. Listen, I've had a lot of players. I forgot about Asamoah John, but I think Darren Bent has to be in there.
Yes, it's got to be Bentley.
And I think Kenwin Jones had more of an impact than John. Weren't there long enough.
No, Kenwin was unplayable on his day.
Yeah, and Welbeck's a great talent, but he came for a quick loan and he was gone.
Yeah.
Even Djibril Cissé had a little stint was decent. But no, I'm going to go for them two up front and four-man midfield, Jordan Henderson, me, and I'm going Dean Whitehead. And on the wing, Steve Melbranc.
Not a bad side, is it?
You know what? I forgot Lorik as well. You know what? No. You know what? I'm putting me and Lorik in the middle of the park.
That works for me. That would be absolutely fine. That might still work now.
Definitely now.
Now, It seems like yesterday when you signed for Sunderland. I remember where I was when you signed for Sunderland in a really weird way. And when you signed for us, I remember, obviously, you came from Man United. You were in and around the England squad. But we'd just been promoted. How did the move to Sunderland come about?
It came about out of the blue, if I'm honest. I never saw it coming. I just finished England with the Euros under-21 championship. I just finished it. And my dad rang me and said, Sunderland, Roy wants you up Sunderland. And I was like, Roy wants me at Sunderland. I was like, okay. I knew you guys had just come up into the Premiership. But at the time, David Moyes wanted me at Everton as well. And obviously, Everton were much stronger sides established in the Premiership.
Yeah.
But I had my ties with Roy. I mean, obviously, I've played with Roy. I know Roy very well. So I said to my dad, okay, listen, we spoke to both clubs. And I thought, I spoke to Roy. I thought, you know what? I just want to go to Sunderland, new club. I knew how big the club was, the fans, the stadium. And also the Everton connection was kind of like a rival to me at Man U.
Yeah.
So I kind of had that rivalry there. So I didn't know how that might go down if I went to Everton. So I got the call and we said, Sir Alex Ferguson told my dad, "Oh, Sunderland want you. We don't want you. We don't want you to leave, but basically you can leave if you want. If you know what I mean."
Yeah.
Sir Alex Ferguson said you can stay another season, but Roy wants you up there. So I was like, you know what? Let's go up there. You know, I like Roy, and that's how it came about, really.
There was a question. It was a great question that came in actually by someone who listened to our podcast regularly. He asked, when you left Man United, obviously Sir Alex Ferguson, I think we have to be honest, is probably the greatest manager of, if not ever, of our generation, most definitely. Yeah. Moving to Sunderland, what kind of advice did he give you? That was a question from Jake, and I thought it was a great question. What advice did he give you about moving to Sunderland?
Completely honestly, there was no advice whatsoever. In this football game, you guys need to understand it's very cold and I won't say cruel, but it was just literally not pack your bags and go. I didn't really speak to Sir Alex Ferguson. My dad spoke to him, so it wasn't even like that. There was no advice really, like from him to me. It was more like third party. He would say, to my dad, Kieran, tell Kieran good luck and things like that. It was never like direct him ringing me and saying, do this, do that, and that's me being completely honest. But that's a lot. It's a lot like that in football. It's not really. It happens a lot.
The thing is, I'm quite surprised by that, if I'm honest with you. But the only reason why I'm surprised by that, because I understand where you're coming from, but there's a lot of Sunderland connections with Man United at that time with Jonny Evans and Danny Simpson coming on loan, and I'd like to think we developed a lot of players on loan at Sunderland.
Listen, it wasn't. I'm not trying to say me and Seth Ferguson had a bad relationship, because we didn't. We had a great one. You know, I got on very well with him. I think it just happened. It just happened like that. He just spoke to my dad and said, "Oh, they want you. You go up there." I went up there and I just signed, and he wished me all the best through my dad and things like that. He wrote me a letter or something in the past, but it wasn't. I didn't leave on a bad note. That's what I'm trying to say. But it was just literally me going through my dad and going that way, really. When I say my dad as well, my dad is my agent. He's always been my agent. So it's not like, it's my dad. He's always represented me through clubs. One
thing, I could be wrong on timescale, I'm a Sunderland fan as opposed to a Man United fan, but I do remember Roy Keane's prawn sandwich rant, I suppose, you know, when he had to go to the fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I want to say that he singled you out at some point. Am I wrong with that?
Singled me out at United, Roy?
I'm sure when he went on that rant, he singled out a few different players, and I have a feeling one of them was yours.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so that rant was like it all got blown out of proportion by, you know, the media and things like that. The whole rant thing was about we played Middlesbrough in a cup game. I think it was a cup game. We got beat 4-0 or 4-1 or something like that. And what it was, Roy was a player at the time, and each player sometimes would go into the studio called MUTV and analyze the game.
Yeah.
And all Roy did was he went into the studio, analysed the game, and just did a normal thing that any pundit would do. Like, just go through it, say, he did this wrong, he did, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
things like that. But it got completely blown out, and MUTV, if I'm honest, I watched it. We all watched it as a team, and it was such a, nothing. It got blown out complete proportion, and that was it, really. You know, everyone thought, it was some crazy thing, blah, blah, blah.
I just thought it was. I wondered if it would have made you nervous signing for him, but obviously, I think you've answered that question. You know, not at all.
Listen, no nerves at all. If I was nervous, I wouldn't come. You know, I said I had a great relationship with my captain, Roy. So I'm honest, that's probably the biggest reason I came to Sunderland, was my whole connection with him.
Was he different as a manager to a captain, or just as inspiring?
No, just the same, really. It's exactly the same. Just required the highest standards. If you're doing well on the pitch, you can you can do what you want, really. But if you're not doing well, he'd let you know straight away. He just told you how it was, and you couldn't take the liberties with him. He wouldn't have it, and he still doesn't have it to this day. If you're taking can I swear on this? I can't swear on this, can I? If you're taking no, I won't swear. But if you're taking the mick, I that's why I always loved Roy, because I need people like that. Just tell me how it is. If you're playing crap, just tell me you're playing crap and bench me, or instead of just beating around the bush. And he was always like that. And when he left, it was sad that when he left Sunderland, because he left Sunderland on bad terms when he shouldn't really have left.
It's funny you say that about because I was reading an interview with Jonny Evans this week, and he said he still plays like Roy Keane's watching him.
Yeah,
even now.
Listen, he just listen. He's exactly how he was a captain. He was as a manager. He just required the highest standards, and not even that. If you saw that you was trying and you gave your best, that's all he wanted. And it also sometimes with Roy, where he's such a good player himself, sometimes it might be hard for him to understand why you can't do a certain thing or certain standards to his. Do you understand? So I think maybe sometimes he had that sort of presence where he expected something to be done, and maybe a certain player couldn't do it. And when maybe he's thinking of himself that I can do that very easily. But no, I loved working under him. I worked under him even at Aston Villa. So there was even a connection there when I went to Aston Villa when he was there.
When you first moved to Sunderland, obviously I know you got injured early doors, but of all the players we signed that summer, I would say you were probably the biggest name, especially with where you came from. Did you personally feel any pressure of that?
How old was I? I came 23. I was a very confident lad, so it wasn't even like pressure. I didn't feel like pressure. Obviously, coming from Man United, I just thought, I'm coming to Sunderland. I'm the main man here.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel no pressure. I just wanted to play football and deliver for the club. And I was upset because I got injured in the first season very badly, fractured my spine. So I was out of most of the season, and I came back near the end of the season and scored a few goals. But that summer after the first season, I made sure that I'd come back in such good condition that I would have a great season the following season. Because I'd put on a bit of weight when I was injured, when I did my back. And I was a bit, not tubby, but I was big for me. Yeah. So I made sure over the summer that I worked out. I didn't really have no holiday. I was running every day. I was trim. I lost 10 kg. I came back in the summer, in the pre-season. I was fitting everyone else. I was running everyone ragged. And it carried on into the season, which was great for me.
How frustrating was it being injured at the start of that campaign, though?
So frustrating, because when you sign for a new club, especially as you said, one of the biggest signings of the summer, all you want to do is just play and show everyone what you can do. And I was gutted, really. I was very gutted.
You mentioned about coming back the season afterwards, but I think a lot of my memories when I was thinking back about questions to ask today, apart from the obvious, I remember that game against Bolton when you came back. But one that really sticks out for me is Portsmouth. That was one of the best performances I've seen. Not just at the club, and everyone remembers that. I think you hit the post, you scored twice, and you linked up so well with Kenwyn that day.
Yeah.
Was that
I remember that day. Yeah, that was still in the first season, right?
Yeah, it was a Sunday.
It was still the first season. Listen, I remember that day. It was great. Everything was coming off. It was great. I played well. I enjoyed that game. I remember it like yesterday. And you're right. I did score 2 goals.
And you hit the post.
And I hit the post. Long distance. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And that was a good game.
Did you feel like that was kind of your opportunity to show the fans that's what I can do and the best is yet to come because I'm not even fully fit yet?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I was a young kid, 23. So much confidence, just wanting to show everyone why I had that Man United affiliation. Remember, I was a full international anyway.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you guys that I was a top player, which I believed, and I just wanted to show the fans that I could do that.
Now, obviously, you got injured at the start of the season, right? And it's frustrating as a player not being able to play football in general. But I suppose at the same time, and it came to pass later on in your Sunderland career, living here. What was it like moving to the Northeast? Obviously, you were in the North in Manchester. You came to the Northeast, which is not massively different. But did you enjoy it, or did you kind of miss being close to home at the start?
No, I loved it. When I moved to Sunderland, the very first I moved, I literally lived across the river, so I could see the stadium from my house. I can't remember what it's called, them apartments
Yeah,
right
I know what
on
you
the
mean.
yeah, you know what I mean, opposite the cinema, right?
Yeah,
So
Yorkie lived there as well, right?
yeah, yeah. So I was there for no, Yorkie lived in Newcastle
Oh, of
on
course.
on the Keys on the Quay side. No, but I lived in Sunderland for like 2.5 years. I loved it. I loved the area. I loved coming down my flat, going into the city centre, walking around, going in restaurants, going to cinema. I loved it, talking to people. I really embraced it. And so when I left that apartment, I was there in that apartment for 1 year. I left there and I moved around a corner, Ashbrook. So I moved around a corner and I enjoyed it so much. And in the end, I did end up moving into Durham and I went to Jesmond. But I had great time in Sunderland. And I always say to people that, that's some of the best times of my life.
How do you find it I mean, obviously the Northeast in general it's like a goldfish, and some people crumble under that. But I mean, you played for Man United, you lived in Manchester or other surrounding areas. But how much more intense is the love of football in the Northeast compared to other places you've been?
Yeah, listen, it's on a whole different Richter scale. As you know, up in Northeast, football's everything for them. That's all they have. It's not all they have, but it's what they look forward to most.
Yeah.
Going and watch their team, which is understandable. So it's more. They're so passionate. So when I would go out, I would literally be talking to everyone. But listen, I enjoyed it. Maybe some other players might not like that type of thing, but I just embraced it. And as I said, I enjoyed every part of it. Even in the bad times when you're getting a bit of stick from people, it is what it is. I feel that I'm kind of a thick-skinned person. But even though I didn't have many downs at Sunderland, but sometimes of a bad result and that you get people say to you, "Oh, come on, Kieran, blah blah blah." But it is what it is. This is football. There's always wins and there's always losses.
It's always nice when people talk so like fondly of the city and the people as well. And I think Lorick was really complimentary as well. But there was something about that period of time where, I mean, I know it wasn't perfect, like always, but I think there was something about that team that seemed to just get it around that time when Roy Keane was here.
No, you listen, totally right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed training. I enjoyed my training ground. Everything about my time there. I just loved it. I enjoyed going to the seaside with my missus. Everything. I had a dog at the time. We used to go walks on the beach. Listen, it was a great lifestyle, and I just loved it. And look, when I look back now, I do not kind of wish I was still there, but I just, it was a great moment of my life.
Do you think it was the best time of your career?
Oh, 100%. The most times I enjoyed myself the most. My footballing career, my time at Sunderland was my most enjoyable football, for sure.
Nice answer.
I always say it to anyone, I don't care. All the teams I played for, the best moments of my life, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Even my wife now says it was time at Sunderland.
It's always nice to hear that. Thanks.
Thanks to Sunderland, you don't need to thank me, mate.
One thing people asked about, now it's funny how you remember little minor things, right? Now, if you think I'm going to talk about a free kick, you might think you know where I'm going, but I'm not. So we're asked, obviously, people aren't ready to go. We asked people on Twitter, what questions do I have for you? And one that flooded through do you remember the game against Fulham where you hit the post 3 times and had a disallowed goal?
Yeah.
I
think that was like 2 weeks before we played Newcastle.
It was.
Or the week before.
It was the week.
Literally, it was the week.
Yeah.
So, I remember that game. It was crazy. I did a free kick first half, hit the post, crossbar post, and bounced back out. And in the second half, I scored a great free kick. But I think Pascal Chimbonham was doing craziness in the wall, and they disallowed it. But based on that, my confidence was kind of high on taking free kicks. I was practicing them a lot at training. So going into the derby game, or any game, it doesn't matter if it had been Newcastle or Arsenal, I would have been on the free kicks and taken them.
Before I go on to that free kick, one thing I wanted to ask, and you may not feel comfortable speaking about it, but you may do. One big thing about the first season we went back was the team spirit. I mean, we scored so many last-minute goals. I can reel them off, and I think we both probably could. And then we came into and maybe this was after the Newcastle game, but we're touching on it. There was a lot of signings made in that summer, and I think there were signings that were the famous next step that now Quinn talked about a lot. The likes of Chimbonda, Juve, Cisse came in that summer as well. But if anything, and I don't want to single any names out, we seemed to suffer a lot that season we had better quality players on the pitch, but I think the team spirit just seemed to be fractured now. And just from your opinion, how much of that was affected by the signings we'd made in the summer?
Listen, it's hard to get it right. Sometimes when you sign so many different players, and all them players you mentioned were foreign players, all different nationalities and different egos. Sometimes it's hard to get that gel. They're all nice guys. I'm not singling anyone out because they were nice guys. But sometimes you don't just click. Sometimes different cultures. English lads, we have our own culture, we have our own banter. But it's just the way it was. I don't know. Obviously, we lost Roy that season, right?
Yeah, we did.
Roy left that season. But and then obviously sometimes you had people playing up in training and this and that. I'm not going to go into details. Sometimes you also got to remember some players might just sign for the money and they're not really 100% committed to it. I'm not going to say who or whatever. I'm just saying in general, some players might sign just for the money and just come there and pick up the big money and don't really care so much to interact, to get the team up in a certain position. Yes, every player would say, yeah, I'm trying my best, but sometimes some players don't really care. They just want the money, and maybe that season we had a bit of that, but I thought it still was a great dressing room, if I'm honest with you. I never felt at one time that I think, oh no, the dressing room's a bad dressing room now. I never thought that once.
Do you feel like, because you knew Roy probably more than most in that squad at that time, and I think the players that Roy Keane brought in maybe the summer beforehand, even the ones that didn't really work out, had a certain attitude. They would graft their bollocks off, for want of a better phrase. And then he brought in the likes of the names we mentioned before. And I mean, even Cisse did really well for us. But were you surprised that he went for those sort of players rather than what you would normally expect Roy to go for as a personality?
Not really, because if you look at the players that Roy brought in, he brought in personalities. He brought in Djibril Cisse. These guys are like household names with big personalities, big characters. Juf, another big character.
You can say that.
Yeah, they are big characters, So
yeah.
maybe Roy thought, okay, so I've got the nucleus, the so-called English local lads. Maybe get a bit of characters in there, and see how it goes. Maybe he thought that.
Do you feel like maybe I don't think anyone would anticipate how badly it could have went at that point. But do you think that could have potentially been his downfall? Because it just seemed to go wrong after that. The whole love-in with Roy Keane towards Sunderland just seemed to kind of grind to a halt, didn't it?
I don't think it had nothing to do with like the players and I think with the Roy situation, it was more of a higher up thing than us as players. Obviously, I can't comment because I don't really know the ins and outs. But I always assumed that the whole Roy situation, why leaving, was come from above, nothing to do with the players or the actual club itself. I know Roy loved Sunderland.
Yeah, and I think there's a comment in his book where he says he still feels like he should be the manager of the club, and he did allude to having a discussion or a dislike, of a certain former chairman. So there's definitely an element of truth in that from Roy's own words.
Yeah, exactly. So you hear that from his own words. He wasn't a matter of he's left because he doesn't like the players or the club no more. He is obviously come from the hierarchy. He had a bit of a fallout, and at the end of the day, even though Roy's the manager, he's still employed by this certain guy, and he's the boss, really and truly. So he decides the shots, and Roy, being Roy, don't really like listening and taking nothing from no one, and probably thought, you know what, I'll move on then and jog on. So. But listen, I was upset when Roy left. I feel that as you said himself, he still thinks he should have been the manager, and he should have been the manager, because for what he did, the transformation that he put from Sunderland in the bottom of the Championship, bring them in the Premiership, was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a fantastic job, and I think when people discuss Roy Keane outside of Sunderland, as a manager, he's almost kind of like not laughed at, but he's not rated. And
No, you're right.
We loved him here.
Yeah, 100%. You know, he hasn't had the breaks yet. Listen, he still might do. He's a young man still.
Yeah,
you know, and you know he's still a big character, and he's obviously still doing his coaching stuff with Ireland, but he still might go back into management. I know it didn't kind of work out for him at Ipswich, but how many other managers have like not worked out and still gone on to do good things?
Many.
Exactly, and in a manageable term, he's still a young man.
So one of the questions I had, and you've kind of answered it in a sense, but just because it's on the sheet anyway. So I interviewed Dean Whitehead, obviously, 2 months or so ago, and we discussed the Northampton game where he kicked the tactics board and all that rubbish. Yeah. And Dean Whitehead's answer to that was rather boringly unsensationalist, and he said, "Well, that kind of just happened." So Roy never lost the dressing room then, no?
No. To me, that was just them things like that, them kicking balls and having arguments, even having fights. They're just normal things that happen in the change room. Within the change room, we don't get fazed by things like that. It's more people on the outside, media and fans who get whispers will more talk about it. But to us, it just happens. We see it all the time. It's not a big thing. If something happened in the changing room, and the next day we forget about it and move on. Yeah, some players might sulk for a little bit, but it's all forgot. Yes, I remember that day, but it's nothing I haven't seen before. So to me, them things are just kind of like little petty things.
Yeah, just standard, really.
Yeah, just standard. They're just standard things.
I think Dean Whitehead's words were, "When it's Roy Keane, it's always a big story."
Yeah, but if it had been another manager, no one would have talked about it.
Yeah, very true. Now, obviously, we've gone past this point a little bit, but you know it's coming, but not quite yet. Leading up to that Derby game, you know which one I mean. It was 28 years since we'd beaten Newcastle at home. Now, that seems ages ago because I can't remember the last time we lost against them. But how much pressure did the players feel to put in a good performance after that? And how did you turn that pressure into such a good performance? Because it was such a good performance that day.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable performance. Obviously, we knew about this little we hadn't won in a long, long time. And listen, obviously, I lived in Sunderland. I know how much it means to the people there. And we just wanted to win for the fans, really, because we know how much it means to you guys. Yes, we want to win for ourselves and the club and get 3 points, but at the end of the day, we know how much it really, really means to you people. So all I want to do is just win the game for you guys, really, if I'm honest. And we happened to do that, and we played very, very well that day.
We played great that day. We were excellent. It's one of the best games at that ground. And I think, you know, this is always going to come, and you're probably not going to be surprised that this is what people wanted to know about. But I was trying to think how to word it right. Now, I don't mean to be a kiss ass here, but that was some goal, wasn't it? Yeah,
unbelievable goal.
What goes through your head?
One of my favourite goals of all time for me.
Same.
What goes through my head? that day was kind of a windy day. It was a bit of a funny day, that was. I remember just obviously getting a free kick, and it was kind of close. I couldn't get it up and over the wall. I was too close for that. Where the previous week before, I could get it up and over the wall. But this week, I was too close. I just thought, you know what, it's going to have to be kind of a power strike straight to the roof, near to the left of the side of the goalkeeper, Shay Given. And it's funny enough because obviously I got back into the same team as Shay Given when he was at Aston Villa, and we talked about that goal, and he was in goal. And he was like, "Oh, just a rocket. I couldn't even see it." And it literally. And the funny thing is as well with that free kick, I didn't, even though it went so fast, it was a great connection. When I stepped up to the ball and I hit the ball, I didn't feel like I put so much power into it. It was more of a technique thing, what made me get the power. It wasn't like I thought, "Oh, I'm going to run up to this and hit it the hardest thing I can." I just wanted to get a good connection into the corner, and it just paid off.
And you kind of mentioned there about getting it up and over the wall, and I think we were talking in our sort of WhatsApp group today, and we were thinking of all the free kicks you took at the club, we'd never seen you hit one like that. What made you just go for the sheer power of that?
I just thought I'm too close, and I can't curl it or anything like that. So it has to be powerful. And obviously, I just thought get a good connection, aim for that side, and listen. And a bit of wind, a bit of conditions. You know, these balls these days they fly all over the gaff, and you know, I think that paid off a little bit as well.
When that ball hits the back of the net, I remember how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you feel when you see it? Pretty much took the net off, didn't it?
Yeah, listen, that roar, that stadium. Listen, that roar was probably one of the biggest roars in that stadium's ever seen.
Yeah.
God knows what it must have heard like outside that stadium. It must have just thought, what the hell's going on in there? But no, it was. Listen, I can't describe the feeling. It was such an amazing feeling. Yeah. Listen, it's just you can't. I can't describe it. It's like one in a million feeling. You know, I've never had that feeling again. Even though I've scored loads of goals since then, but I never had that type of feeling because I knew how passionate everyone it was, and obviously to get 2-1, I thought, you know what, is this going to be the winning goal? This is crazy. Please don't score another goal, make it 2-2, and this is going to kill my goal off. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was unbelievable, man.
You know, when it hit the back of the net, I just remember myself just kind of standing there and not really jumping up and down. It was just like, oh, and like when it hits the net, as a person from outside the region, but someone who'd lived there for like would have been a year and a half at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, did you know what you'd done when that went in?
Yeah. No, of course. I knew I scored a goal. I knew it was such an important goal. But you know what happens as well. The moment goes so quick. And sometimes you can't really. It doesn't really sink in till like the days after, weeks after, and even years after talking to you on the phone.
Yeah,
you know, it sinks in. And obviously, when it just happened, I had people put notes on my door, in my house. Listen, it was crazy. And listen, it was an unbelievable feeling. You know, and I loved everything about it. I will tell you something though. What not many people know. When we played them in the replay at 1-1. At St James's Park, the day after, they put a bid in to buy me.
I heard rumours of this actually.
Yeah,
now that you mention it,
not many people know that. Noel Quinn knows that, but they put a cheeky bid of 8 mil, and obviously Sunderland didn't want us. Obviously, I didn't want to go, and Sunderland said no chance. But yeah, I think was it Joe Kinnear, the manager at the time?
It was, and we drew 1-1. I think Cisse scored.
They wanted me to go there. You know, Newcastle being Newcastle, we'll give you more money, we'll double your wages, and blah blah blah. But no, I remember that, and I was thinking, Matty, they're crazy, mate. I'm not going there. I'm here, mate. I could never see me do that.
No, I wouldn't have wanted to see you do that. I don't think anyone would.
Listen, I know a few people have done it in the past, but I couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't picture myself in them colours, if I'm honest.
It makes me feel a bit weird, if I'm honest with you.
especially, imagine if I went in January that window and I just banged a goal against them. It's just mental.
No, you couldn't have done it. No, and it would have been the wrong thing to do. You know, I would have never spoke to you on the phone if you'd done that.
I don't think it's death threats, mate.
Yeah, well, it's a passionate area, shall we say?
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I did want to talk about, I didn't want to kind of bring it to a negative, but I did want to touch on it a little bit. If we're talking about derby games, you weren't really involved in the game. You were injured at the time, but I know you came on as a substitute when we got beat 5-1. But
yes,
how difficult was that day, and what went wrong?
No, that was a terrible day. Terrible day. Oh, I just wanted to kill someone on that pitch. I think Nolan got a hat trick. Was it
something like that?
Yeah. Listen. Obviously, being on the bench anyway, I was already pissed off anyway.
Yeah.
So then coming on into like, I don't know, 4-0 down or 3-0 down, whatever it was hard, especially at Newcastle. Listen, Newcastle's a hard place to go. But obviously, the way we lost, the manner of it, that's the main thing, you know. And it was hard to take. But I don't know what to say, really. Obviously, I think they scored early goals and they had the momentum.
Just everything went in. Everything they touched.
Kevin Nolan was doing that mad chicken run. I just wanted to bloody boot his head off, even though he's a nice guy. But, you know.
Yeah, I think we all felt that way. He did it a few weeks later against when they drew 1-1.
He's got to do what he's got to do. He's got a job to do. But no, it was a bad day. Who was the manager at the time?
For Newcastle, it was Chris Hughton, I think, and for us it was it was Brucey. Yeah, Brucey.
Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was dire. It was dire.
Moving on.
Moving on.
I've just remembered this actually, right? This isn't a question that was wrote down, but I've remembered it because it's fresh in my memory. The Chelsea game came a few weeks after that. Now,
Okay.
we all remember Nedum, we all remember Jan, Henderson, and how good the performance was. But I tell you what, sometimes we forget. You were playing on the right wing and tasked with
Ashley Cole.
basically Mark and Ashley Cole.
I remember, I never forget it. Steve Bruce was like to me, Kieran, you're the only guy in our team who can run fast than Ashley Cole, keep up with him, as fit as him. I need you to play on the wing and just nullify Ashley Cole. And me being me, no problem, boss. I'll deal with it. And I did. And it paid. Listen, it was a massive, because at the time, Ashley Cole was like such an outlet for Chelsea. And to stop him would obviously kind of nullify them, even though they had much more players. But he was a big thing for them. Throughout his whole career, that he was great at doing that. And he got no joy whatsoever. I chased that guy everywhere. I didn't give him a sniff. And I'm not saying, listen, it was a great team performance from everyone. Everyone did their own individual part, but that was my job on the day, and I did my job. And we won 3-0, which was great. And we got the 3 points, went home. And it was a great performance. Listen, that was one of the best performances we had that season. 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. Who does that? No one does that.
No one even really does it these days, do they?
No one does that these days. That was an unbelievable result. Welbeck scored. I think John scored and Nedum scored, right?
Yeah, Nedum got the first one.
It was a great team performance, and I'll never forget it.
It was a good team performance. And the good thing with that is it wasn't 3 lucky goals. We outplayed them from first minute to last.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
And that was without Darren Bent. There was no Darren Bent that day. And you know, the frustrating thing is I look back on that game as a fan, because as a fan base, we talk an awful lot about how well we played that season, and then we lost Darren Bent. Now, I've asked a few people this question from that period about Darren Bent. And everyone seems surprised that he went. But I suppose there's a few questions I've got for this, because I remember the game after against Blackpool. I was there. You scored twice, and I thought, we'll be all right. But A, did you expect Darren Bent to leave? Was there something there? And B, how much did that affect the morale of the team, because we suffered so badly after that?
Yeah, listen, when you got a 30-goal a man season leaving your team, it's a massive, massive blow. And he was our talisman. There's no beating the bush around about it. Obviously, Steve Bruce didn't want to lose him, because obviously he was banging the goals in for us. But Aston Villa came and obviously gave him a much bigger deal, more years or whatever. Even though I'm sure Sunderland could have matched it if they really wanted to, but I don't know. He went for the bigger deal, and he moved on. And what can we do? We can't do nothing about it. Yes, as fans and as players, we're gutted, but it's his decision. It's his career. You know, it's a short career footballer. So sometimes, you know, some footballers make decisions where they're beneficial for them financially.
Did you feel? I mean, the thing that annoys us with Darren Bent that he said about how he wanted to be the next Kevin Phillips, how he loved going out in Sunderland, and he loved the fans and stuff like that. Did you feel? And I mean, you don't have to answer this, but did you feel like Darren Bent, what he said, he was that man? He just wanted to move for his England career, for more money, and because it's a short career.
Listen, I know Darren Bent very, very well. He's my good friend. He loved Sunderland. There's no qualms about that. And what he said there, he was right. He enjoyed it. Listen, if you ask him now, when was your best time of football, he would tell you at Sunderland, 100%. But sometimes, you know, when agents get in your ear, more money on the table, you might think, okay, England, this and that. But it doesn't matter what club you're at. If you're banging 30 goals a season, you're going to England anyway. But I just feel at that moment in time, maybe he got turned a little bit through his agent or whoever it was, and he's got a better deal, more money, more years, and he's just taking it.
Do you think he regrets it?
No, I don't think he regrets it. Because I think even when he went Aston Villa, he was still banging goals in for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. It would just change your manager, basically.
So listen, I don't think he regretted it. But if you did ask him that question, he would definitely say his best times would probably be Sunderland.
I'd like to ask him that question, but nonetheless. Back to yourself. One thing that, if you played Kieran Richardson word association, you'd think free kick, but you'd also think utility man, which you played up front. You played as a number 10, you played the left wing, played the right wing, centre of the park, left back. Why do you think managers changed you around so much? What was your favourite position to play? And do you think not having a settled position affected your career?
Listen, I would say like sometimes I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but sometimes when a player's very, very good, they can 9 times play anywhere. I'll give Steven Gerrard as another one where he's so good at football. He can play off the striker, centre midfield, on the wing. Steven Gerrard played right back. I'm not saying I'm a Steven Gerrard, but when you're so comfortable on like playing football, I could play anywhere really. And I always found like certain managers would play me in certain positions, but like Steve Bruce, when he came, he had me up top at first when Darren Bent, before Darren Bent, and I was banging goals in the pre-season. I'll never forget it. Me and Ken were up front. Darren Bent hadn't come yet, and I was playing off the striker. I think we played Atletico Madrid. I scored 2 goals.
It was at the Amsterdam tournament.
I had a great pre-season. I was banging goals in left, right, and centre. But Darren Bent came, and I reverted back. If Darren Bent never would have came, I probably would have carried on playing up there. But then I went left back. Listen, it is what it is. You're right. Sometimes when you haven't got a stable home in a position, and you do get touted as like a guy who can play anywhere, it's hard to nail down a position, because you got to remember when you're playing in different positions, it's hard to get momentum. If 1 minute you're playing centre midfield, then you're playing left wing. These positions are completely different, require different mentality. But listen, it is what it is. I never found it hard. I always adapted very well in any position, and I just love playing football. So I was never like, nah, F this, I'm not doing this, doing that. Long as I was playing in the starting 11, wherever, I just wanted to play football, and wherever it would be, I'd just give my best.
Where do you think you played best?
Centre midfield, 100%.
Like as a number 10, or was like in the middle?
No, like a number 10 in the midfield. Yeah, number 10. That's definitely my best position.
I think most of our fan base would agree with that. Although you did...
No, listen, it's definitely my best position by fact. Even though, listen, the whole reason for me being left back, because I'm so quick. And, and wingers these days are so quick as well. So it was more of a case, you know what, Kieran, he's got a left peg. He's comfortable on the ball. He's rapid. Let's put him left back, because today we're playing against Aaron Lennon. And he's rapid as well. We need to make sure that he matches him by pace. That's the reason why I always played left back, because I was so quick.
You mentioned Darren Lennon there. Obviously, you're up against Ashley Cole on the right wing, but as a left back, who was your most difficult opposition you ever faced?
I always found that the wingers who ran off the ball. Anyone who was receiving the ball and running at me with the ball was very easy. So it's so easy to tackle people, because they're running with the ball, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to kick it past you, and you just shield them out really. But it was more the tricky wingers where, like I always say, Dyer, Dyer for Swansea. He's I think at Leicester now. Dyer.
Yeah, Nathan Dyer. Yeah,
Nathan Dyer. This guy was very tricky. He would always run inside without the ball. Listen, he was definitely one of my. I had to think. Aaron Lennon's another one where he would run off the ball, he'd run inside, and hopefully someone would slip him and he'd just cut it back and they'd just score. They're the guys who are the hardest guys to mark, for sure.
Now, a little bit away from football, you mentioned about your personal life and stuff before. Now, I think it's quite well documented, but obviously you found your faith whilst you were on Wearside, I think.
Yes.
It is really well documented, but what was it that sort of changed in your life at that point that pointed you in that direction, if you don't mind me asking a really personal question?
Yeah, no problem. I'm very open about it. When I first moved to Sunderland, I met my wife at the same time. So I was my girlfriend at the time. And my girlfriend is a very, very has very strong faith as well, and she's a born again Christian as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like my wife got me into becoming a Christian, and we'd go church every Sunday up in Sunderland, the one right by the stadium, opposite the petrol garage, the old one.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Listen, I'd go in there literally every Sunday. Me and my wife, there'd be like 3 people in there, no one in there. Everyone very old. But listen, it just came to me. I was going every Sunday, and my faith grew stronger and stronger, and I got saved. I got saved in there, and that was it. Really, it went on from there, and I've always been open about it. I'll never shy away from that, because it's something I very believe in strongly.
Yeah. And I remember you did the whole, I think it was maybe the Sunderland Echo, where obviously that came out and stuff like that as well. And then what I also remember is the goal against Wolves, because obviously the T-shirt afterwards as well. But then shortly afterwards, Martin O'Neill comes in. Now, I've got to be honest with you. My best times as a fan and my worst times as a fan were under Martin O'Neill. Now, the worst times were just after you left. But that period, that FA Cup run, like, what was it about that period of time where we just seemed to score absolute worldies, do really, really well in the FA Cup? What was it? What did Martin O'Neill bring to your game? It was only a short 6 months for you, I think, but that was a good long. 6 months.
Listen, Martin O'Neill was a great manager. No qualms about that. When he came in, he was like a breath of fresh air. He had James McClean on firing. Had him firing. James McClean wasn't playing in front of me. I was playing left back at the time, and he was in front of me. And we had that left hand side totally on lock, really. But no, Martin O'Neill was a great manager. We obviously, you said they were a great cup run. I think we beat Arsenal. I think we beat Arsenal.
Yeah, you scored. Well.
Yeah. But no, listen, he was a great manager. Obviously, we had some bad results and good results. When I left Sunderland, he didn't want me to go. We kind of fell out. We didn't fall out, but it was like, because in that January window, but a lot of people don't know as well, Arsenal wanted me to go there.
Okay.
And they wanted me to go there on loan. It was a weird one. I think they must have had an injury or something. And Arsenal wanted me to go on loan to Arsenal. Martin O'Neill was like, "No, you're not leaving the club. You're not going nowhere." And these times right now, I kind of had in my head that I just had my baby and I wanted to go home. That was the only reason I ever left Sunderland. It wasn't because I didn't love the club no more or footballing reasons. It was completely just for family reasons. And I always say that. I just had a baby and my wife was from London and all my family are in London. I thought, okay, I just want to be around their grandparents, their grandfather. So just to help raise my kid. I want my kid to be around my family. That was the only reason why I left Sunderland. Otherwise, I'd still be there today. Obviously, I've got my children, and I'm blessed having these beautiful children, and but I'll probably still be in Sunderland right now.
Yeah, and I think we were surprised when you left because it suddenly, to us, it kind of came out of the blue, because you'd got back into the side permanently at left back. I think Martin O'Neill obviously rated you really well, but I think as a fan, you can't hold that against a player. I think Lorexana was the same. He wanted to be closer to his family. You can't hold that against a player.
Yeah, I get it, but he did come at the blue for the fans. But for me, it was all solidified when I had my child and I wanted to go back home. Yeah, I still I love Sunderland as a club, and I'll never deny that. And then you got to remember, I wanted to go to London that bad. I went to Fulham, lower money, lower wages.
I remember when you went to Fulham. I remember hearing that.
A lot less money in Fulham. People don't know that. I took a wage cut to go to Fulham just because I had to be near my family for my children and my wife as well. We wanted to be close to home. But on another note, sometimes when you leave, the grass is not always green on the other side. Don't get me wrong, I don't have no regrets, but we do sit back sometimes and think, oh, you know what, we could have probably just stayed in Sunderland. But it is what it is. It happened. I went Fulham. I enjoyed my time in London, but you know, that's what I will say. I'll leave it there. The grass isn't always green on the other side.
It's funny because my next question was going to be, do you regret leaving Sunderland? But that answers it quite well. Now, the Newcastle game, obviously that goal you scored is always going to be, I would imagine, the one that gives you the most personal satisfaction. But which goal, aside from that, gives you the most personal satisfaction from the goals you scored at Sunderland?
Okay, I had a few good goals, but if I'm honest, my goal against I scored a few goals against Tottenham actually, but my goal against Tottenham at White Hart Lane,
the long ranger.
Yeah, the long ranger. Yeah. Only because I'd worked so hard as I said, through the summer to get fit, that goal. It just felt like all paid off the hard work I put in. I'd probably say that goal.
I could ask about each manager individually, but I won't. So, first word that comes to your head, and I'm going to say each manager. Roy Keane.
Passionate.
Steve Bruce.
Great management skills.
Ricky Sabrasia.
One of the lads. That's what I'm describing Ricky Sabrasia, just one of the lads.
Martin O'Neill.
Small details. He loved the small details.
Okay. If you had to rank or choose your favourite manager, I think I know the answer, but who would top your list out of those managers?
You know what? It's a hard one. I know you're going to think Roy Keane, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Steve Bruce, man, I love Steve Bruce. And I know it's a hard one for me. It's out of them two. Even though Martin Neal was a great manager as well, but I know I should say Roy. He took me there, and probably is Roy. But Steve Bruce, for me, he was such a great manager. He knew how to talk to players. He was unbelievable, Steve, and it shows that till this day. You look at the career he's had as a manager. So I'm gonna go Roy, but even though it's kind of a 50-50 with Steve Bruce.
I'll take that. That's all right. Not the answer I expected, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, just to end, what we always are interested in is obviously what you're up to now, but you're obviously still playing as it stands. But I think it's been a while since you've had a club. I think Cardiff. Do you still want to play on, or do you have plans to go into coaching?
No, I don't have any plans to go into coaching. And I haven't played in like 2 years now.
Yeah.
As you know, that I've many other ventures off the pitch.
Yes.
Business wise.
Yeah.
I don't know if you might want to put in the program, like a broad walk. You know what I mean, on my Instagram. But no, no. Listen, I have a watch company. I sell luxury watches, and you know what? I'm enjoying my time off. I've been playing football since I was 7 years old. Even though I love football, and I do miss the banter, but I'm enjoying just being dad. Taking my kids to school. Enjoying being a father, being a husband. I'm enjoying life right now. Yes, if I got a call from Sunderland right now, say, Kieran, come up, get your boots. You're gonna sign. I'd come and sign, no problem. Because I love football, but I'm not sitting at home right now being depressed, thinking, "Oh no, I wish I was still playing." No, I'm not doing that.
Well, thanks very much. It was a really one of my favorite interviews we've had. If I'm honest with you, I had a feeling that might be, but did you have fun? Was it nice reminiscing?
Listen, I had fun, man. Listen, I always have fun, especially talking to people up there. So I'm happy to to give you some sort of insight of how I felt and things what happened, and obviously I hope it comes across well to everyone else. And then listen, whenever you guys want to talk, no problem. I'm here, no problem.
It does. It came across really well, and it's always, as a fan, it's always an absolute pleasure to hear people that enjoyed playing for the club, because that's all we ever ask: effort and an understanding of what it means. And trust me, when you put the free kick in against Newcastle after that, you could have played shite for the rest of the season, and I think everyone would forgive you for that. So
yeah, listen, I know.
There was one question actually that I totally missed out, and I'm going to leave it right on this one, and I hope it's not a bad one to end on. But the ponytail, what was that about?
The ponytail was, it was more just boredom.
Yeah, I get that.
You know what? It wasn't. It wasn't boredom. You know what it was? I'll tell you exactly what it was now. As a kid, my favorite player was Roberto Baggio.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And he was like my hero. Roberto Baggio, Ian Wright, and Ryan Giggs were my heroes as kids. And my hair was good. I thought, you know what? Let me just put like a little plaits at the back and let it grow out. It was getting longer and longer, and the more people talked about it, the more people got pissed off about it, the more I wanted to keep doing it. So I know a lot of people say to me, just cut it off. The more you say that, the more I'm like, no, I'm leaving it. I'll just leave it. But no, listen, I go through periods where sometimes, just different hairstyles, even when I was at Aston Villa, I had a man bun, I had a big bun in my head, and people used to call me Samurai. But, it is what it is. Sometimes you want to have long hair, sometimes you want to have short hair. I'm lucky that God blessed me with long hair, great curly hair, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, why not? If you've got it, flaunt it, mate. Well, as I said, mate, really, really appreciate you coming on. I'm sure the fans will appreciate this as well. Really good chatting to you. I'm pleased to hear you're doing well. And I'm pleased to hear that you never wanted to join them lot up the road.
Yeah, listen, thank you very much, you guys, for listening. It's been a pleasure. I love you guys so much, and fans. Anytime you want to ring up and talk to me, no problem. I'm here. Yeah, my phone's always open to you guys.
Oh, don't tell too many people that, trust me. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch.
Take care. God bless.
Anytime.
Bye-bye.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.
So I really enjoyed that. What an absolutely sound guy. Been speaking to him in the run up to the week, and it really is obvious how much he absolutely loves Sunderland. There's a lot of players that come to Sunderland, and I've interviewed quite a few over my time writing for ROKER RAPPORT, and it really is a privilege to hear how many of them really love Sunderland. The likes of Chris Macon, Nicky Summerby, Loroxana, and all from different generations and different eras. And it really makes me remember, and I hope it makes you remember as well, how important this football club is, because it's not just football. It really matters to people. It really matters to professional football players. They see what we are, and we know what we are as well. And it's lovely to speak to someone who hasn't played for the club in 7, 8 years, I think, to speak with so much vigor and so much passion like it was yesterday, the same way we do as fans. I don't think you can ask for much more than that. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I hope that you're preferring this sort of podcasting way of interviewing. Over the years, I've done quite a few of these interviews now, and our editor has always told me I need to get doing this as a podcast. Now, I wasn't too sure whether it would go down very well, but I must be honest, I'm enjoying it a little bit more. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed reminiscing about beating the scum. I hope you enjoyed Kieran's couple of little digs in that he got in there as well. And it's nice to hear him well. And it's, like I say, always nice to chat to someone about Sunderland, whether it's a former player or a fan. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, I've been Graham. This has been the ROKER RAPPORT Extra podcast with Kieran Richardson. See you with the Extra podcast with a fan from... who were playing on Saturday? Warsaw. See you at some point.